Good morning, YouTube. Hopefully you are all good and doing well as always. It is the 15th, Friday, the 15th of May. I woke up at about 20 to 6 this morning. I've just gone and come to the gym, and I've also done a little bit of posing as well. And welcome to episode 13 or 14 of the cut. I am now, I believe, 19 weeks in. This is towards the end of week 19. When I started my cut, I was in this position here, I'll show you on the screen, and I was 80 kilos. And as of this morning, I was 68.05 kilos, and I look significantly better. Like, I'll show you some of the videos of me posing. Obviously, the lighting isn't quite exactly the same as it was that initial video, so please obviously keep that in mind. I obviously look a little bit better because the lighting's a little bit better and everything like that, but you can clearly see some very big differences, and I'm very happy with how my physique is looking at the moment. I am significantly lighter and literally significantly smaller, but I feel so much happier with my physique. Like, I know obviously I've mentioned in previous episodes about this bicep vein coming through, but I'm seeing so many more sort of veins coming through, so much leaner. And even though I am hungry, it is literally all worthwhile because I feel very, very happy with my physique. Today, I was able to wake up a little bit later than normal because I'm actually working from home today. I've got paintballing with work. We've got like a social event, and I'm also going to be having a little bit more food. So I'm going to take you through my day to show you, again, like calories, obviously keep you updated with everything, discuss exactly how I'm going to be sort of socializing, but not going too far off track. As I say, I'm having more food today, which I'm looking forward to. But before going through all of that and showing you all of that sort of stuff, one thing that I wanted to talk about was last week I mentioned about how my weight wasn't really moving. I was absolutely bang on it, but my weight didn't really move. And one thing that I think is so important when you are dieting is you want to be completely almost emotionless about what those scales say, and you want to focus so much more on sort of like your inputs and what you are actually doing on a daily basis. I'm going to pick you up instead. I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone and do my steps while I was talking to you, and also get dressed to stop being a little bit of a slut, I suppose. But as I was mentioning, the main thing that you want to focus on when you are dieting is, as I say, not being emotional about the weight, and almost just focusing on the inputs and the things that you are doing on a daily basis. Because as I mentioned last week, I literally did not miss a beat. I did everything that I needed to, step-wise, training-wise, diet-wise, everything was spot on, and my weight did not move like at all. And it is very easy to sort of see that and be there and be like, oh, for fuck's sake, like I'm doing everything right, it's not moving. But this is where, with weight, generally what I would say is, with my clients, I tend to take weight on sort of like a 2 to 3 weekly basis. So if your weight hasn't moved for sort of like, say, 2 to 3 weeks, and you have genuinely been completely compliant, that is when you would probably have a look at like, right, okay, should I be lowering my calories? Should I be increasing my output to try and see a little bit more fat loss? But on sort of like a short-term basis, like a week, there are so many things that can keep it elevated in terms of stress, just general inflammation, water retention, amount of salt that you're having. So there's a lot of things that can impact it, and therefore, even though you've been like bang on it with the diet side of things, the weight doesn't move and you start thinking, oh, is this working? And it can be obviously quite frustrating. And then typically what tends to happen is when people's weight isn't moving, they then start getting a little bit more complacent. They do a few less steps, they try a little bit less hard with their sessions even, and then like with their diet, they start slacking a little bit, like get a little bit more complacent on the weekend, start having a few more like snacks and mouthfuls of food that go untracked, which then just feeds into the weight not moving more, all because you are sort of like emotional about that scale side of things. If you know that you are doing the right things each day, regardless of like what the scales say, you know that you are having a successful week of dieting, and ultimately you are much, much better off, and it's going to serve you much better to be fully compliant and be absolutely on it and your weight not move than be barely compliant and your weight has moved because, say, like stress or something like that has dropped off. And I think that that is worth keeping in mind, because a lot of my clients will get very frustrated when they're doing a lot of things right and they know that they're being compliant and the weight doesn't drop off, but it will do. You just need to focus on continuing to do the right stuff for a prolonged period of time, and you will get there. It's just, as I say, on a daily basis and like a weekly basis, sometimes the weight can be a little bit frustrating. The attire for paintball.
But yeah, you have to let me know because that is actually so bad.
Gosh.
Which one? That's as small as it goes. And then we suddenly.
You're not meant to be shooting them yet. Good afternoon, YouTube. Hopefully you are all good and doing well as always. It's about 24 hours since I actually last spoke to you because yesterday I did the paintballing, got shot a few times. I actually got shot right here in the noggin and I had a little bit of a mark, but I got off really lightly in comparison to one of my work colleagues. She got shot by like one of the most powerful guns, and by some freak accident it hit her literally like right in the head here, and it has cut her head. She literally looks like a unicorn that has been dehorned, so I can't really moan about anything. But it is now the next day. As mentioned yesterday, we're sort of trying to stay on track with the cut side of things. I was out for a meal yesterday and I chose an option which I thought would be sort of like lower calories, so I ended up having this chicken shawarma thing. I wouldn't really have said it was a very traditional chicken shawarma. There wasn't too much chicken, and I would have reckoned that the whole dish was probably about sort of 800 calories, I'd say, if I'm being like allowing myself a few sort of extra calories here and there. And I also had a starter as well, which consisted just of protein but no dessert or anything like that. Around it I ate like normal. I even took my chicken mince along with me, and I had that like just before having the meal so that I would be a little bit less hungry from the meal. I was running around all day, so I probably burnt a decent amount of calories from actually running around. So it was a day that I was a little bit more social, but still on track with the cut side of things. I know I had yesterday as a non-tracked meal in the evening. I controlled everything that I needed to around being social, chose a good option when I was social, and then I also just had like diet soft drinks throughout the night as well. No alcohol or anything like that. So I'm not hungover today, and I've just gone and had this ultra sunrise monster. Erin got it because she went on her first flight with British Airways this week. She went to Florida and she brought back one of these monsters for me. We don't get them in the UK. I don't really rate it. It sort of tastes like orange juice, but just not really as nice. Still gonna have it because I still got a few legs. Leg session is all done and dusted, and I am now back home. My session was okay. The benefit of having more food is that I like to tell myself, because I've had more food, to like try and utilize that food for fuel. However, at this point in time, training just isn't the most enjoyable. Like as I mentioned in sort of previous episodes, I'm not exactly progressing at this moment in time. It's more just a case of managing like fatigue as much as possible, still trying hard within there, but just sort of changing load as required. Some things I was stronger on, some things I was a little bit weaker on, and found that like my endurance wasn't quite right. But generally speaking, I found that like my endurance or my performance within the gym is more impacted by my sleep and my recovery in that aspect than it is by sort of like my food. So if you are finding that you are significantly weaker during a cut, it could potentially be, say, like your recovery and your sleep that is the main thing that you need to sort of look at. But now that I am back home, I'm having something that doesn't look overly appetizing. Literally just having one tin of tuna, some salad cream with it, and then also some salad. And I'm also going to be having 2 rice cakes as well. I'm saving some calories because later Erin and I are going to be having a bit of like a healthy roast. I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later on. I'm going to be eating this whilst watching the FA Cup final as well. And I don't think I've ever been less excited about an FA Cup final. I don't want either team to win, because obviously Chelsea are London rivals with Arsenal, but Man City are our biggest rivals of the last few years. I know of more Chelsea fans than I know Man City fans, so in that aspect I'd probably City win, rather City win.
And they were like a bit younger than me, I would say. Yeah, I'm finished now.
Erin and I have just been food shopping and just generally shopping as well, which means that I have missed the second half of the FA Cup, but don't really care too much. I think it's 1-0 to City at the moment, but I say missed the second half so far, but I've got a little bit of a haul. Just went and bought this shirt from M&S. I really like M&S stuff at the moment. I really think like their summery stuff is quite nice. As I am getting older, I mean I'm only 24, but I'm really liking like classier looking clothes, especially at summer. So like M&S, I think like Zara, Bershka, they're like my favourite sort of brands, especially for summer. And then probably like Uniqlo or Uniqlo, I don't really know how you pronounce it, are probably my favourite for like joggers and all that sort. And then also, I'm quite excited about this. I feel like an old man for getting excited about this, but I've got a all-in-one trimmer from Philips. I had a Philips One Blade for literally like 5 years, and it now just like cuts me every time that I like shave. Gone and splashed the cash. 50 quid on this. As I say, I feel like an old man for getting excited about it. Good afternoon, YouTube. It is actually now the third day of this vlog, and it is about 20 to 4 on Sunday afternoon. This morning I have been doing my check-ins for my clients. I also went for a walk to go and get my steps in. I've done like 9k steps so far today. Yesterday I did end up having the healthy roast thing that I was on about. I'll show you what that looked like now. And the diet was as normal in terms of like calories. I still stuck to calories, still stuck to like my macros and stuff like that pretty much. Just a slight change to the meals from what I would normally have, but it felt nice to have something a little bit different. And what I wanted to show you before ending this video is just my spreadsheet and what I've actually been up to for the last few weeks, because as you can see here, I have actually been tracking. Obviously it won't be the easiest for you to see, but I have been tracking every single thing within here. I'll show you it sort of like closer, but I've just gone and updated it. This is the exact same sheet that I use with all my clients, and I've just gone and updated it for this week. And over the last couple of weeks I can see that my weight, even as I said with being 100% compliant last week, my weight went from, it was just being stuck at 69 kilos to now being sort of the bottom end of the 68 kilo mark this week. And it's not a case that I've done anything different. It's just a case that I knew that what I was doing was, I was seeing fat loss from it. I just had to continue trusting the process and be like a little bit patient with things. This here just shows my data so far, and as you can see, like I've been losing like half a kilo, 1.2 kilos. Like I've been losing a decent amount of weight over the course of the last 19 weeks of dieting. As I mentioned previously, I could have gone more aggressive without a doubt, but the whole goal really, there's a difference between cutting and just general fat loss. And with cutting, the main aim of the game is to try and like preserve as much lean body mass, so muscle mass, as possible, whilst obviously losing fat. Whereas general sort of like fat loss is just a case of we're just trying to get as much body weight off as possible. With that is going to come a little bit of loss of muscle mass, and I've been trying to avoid that as much as possible, so that at the end of the diet I look as good as possible. I'm still like nice and full with like my muscles. There is a difference between the two, and that's why I've gone like a little bit less aggressive than I potentially could have, with the idea of trying to keep as much muscle as I possibly could. But just for a bit of an idea for this week coming up, the plan of action, considering the rate of loss that I'm currently seeing, the plan of action is to keep things the exact same. So 12k steps a day, macros of 180 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, 54 grams of fats. I have one refeed day scheduled in for this week coming up, but whether I utilize it or not will be completely dependent on how energy feels and everything like that. I typically find with a free refeed day, they should be used as and when, but not sort of like pre-prescribed. Obviously, this one technically is pre-prescribed, but I'm not going to be using it if I don't need to. It's just there in case I need it. So that is the plan for this week. And in terms of the actual diet side of things, the plan of action was to finish things at the end of May, see the position that I'm in and probably call it a day and get back to sort of gaining or using it for a little bit of like a recomposition. The main thing is I'm literally addicted to getting leaner at this point in time. It is an addictive process, like seeing these veins, getting leaner, even though it is a bit shit in terms of obviously missing out on food. I'm really enjoying pushing myself. So I'm just going to see how I feel near the time before making a definite decision. At this moment in time, as I say, I'm saying that I've got a couple weeks left, but I think that part of me is going to get to that point in time and be like, you could continue pushing on, but it's just assessing what to do at that point in time. I appreciate this vlog took a little bit of a detour in terms of it not being 100% sort of cut focused. If you've got any questions or anything like that, please leave them in the comments, because I want to help people as much as possible. Like if you're trying to lose fat at the moment and you're stuck with a particular thing, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and obviously I can say what I would do in that situation. Follow me via the link in the description. Like and subscribe if you found this useful, and if you want to see me continuing to get in the best shape of my life around being in the office, around the 9 to 5 and all of that sort of good stuff. Again, thank you very much for watching, and adios, and hasta luego.